I've done so many interesting things in photography that my family felt that I should record them and save the stories and the photos so that other generations can see the things that I've done. I photographed over a dozen presidents, endless celebrities, done many interesting types of assignments from high in the sky to low on the ground. So we'll kind of move along and talk about some of the things that I've done and where I started. The Brooklyn paper asked if I would like to go cover the 1953 Eisenhower inauguration in Washington. Of course, I said yes. They sent me to Washington, where I met up with somebody in the press corps who provided me with passes, which I wasn't supposed to get, but nonetheless. And that admitted me to the inaugural platform and six feet away from the actual swearing in. It had already been predetermined that no photographer would be in this position, but there I was. So I took my photos, most famous one of 4 presidents, of course, Eisenhower, Nixon, for the first time vice president, Herbert Hoover, and Harry Truman. I have a copy of that photo signed by 3 of those presidents, as after a while they knew me and I was able to get that signature. Those photos of the inauguration got a lot of very wide use. There's a picture of myself taking the photographs on the Capitol Rotunda in the front. And then there's a picture of myself on the cover of Life magazine showing the inauguration, but there I am in the corner taking my photographs. Recently, in the last couple of years, American Heritage magazine approached me and said they wanted to do a story on that story, and of course cooperated with them. And I found that very interesting. Again, the story never seemed to die. But what was most interesting for me is my place in history. The slug line of that story was Bob, Dick, and Harry. I thought that put me in some very interesting company. One of the highlights of my career also was to photograph General MacArthur. He was the commander of the military in the Pacific. After World War II, he went on to Korea, but was quickly recalled by President Truman because he was saying things that made our government nervous, and so they brought him back and he retired. They gave him a ticker tape parade up Broadway, and here I got an opportunity to photograph him up close in front of City Hall, saluting the American flag. I didn't know that I would cross his path many times in the future. Many years later, I had the opportunity to go to MacArthur's home, which happened to be in Waldorf Towers, where he had a suite, and photograph him for another assignment. And while I was there, I said, well, where is Mrs. MacArthur? And he said, oh, she's in the next room. Would you like to photograph her as well? I said, absolutely. So out she came, and I took this really nice photograph of the 2 of them together. And that was a very successful assignment. As years went by, the general passed away, and I was once again hired to go back and photograph Mrs. MacArthur, who was still living in the Waldorf Towers. The people that I was setting up my assignment with, I told them that I had photographed Mr. and Mrs. MacArthur years before, and they said, do you still have that photograph? I said, oh yes. We showed her the photo because she'd been anticipating seeing it. They had told her about it, and she looked at the photo, tears came to her eyes, and she did an interesting thing. She flipped the photo around so that it actually faced me, it faced out rather than in, and hugged the photo. And once again, I grabbed a quick photograph of her holding my photo. Very interesting situation. Y.A. Tittle was a quarterback for the New York Giants, very well known, and quite a famous photo of him is when he was about to pass the ball. People ran back and they sacked him, and he was bleeding and blood was running out of his head. When you cover a football game, they give you credentials to work on the field, and you're allowed to be right on the edge of the action of the game and play. When this happened to Tittle and the blood was running out of his head, all the other photographers just looked back, but nobody made a move. I ran back, ran behind the bench, and got this great photograph of him with the blood pouring out of his head. It was used everywhere. The following year, subsequently, Look magazine was doing the best sports photos of the year, and that was chosen as one of the best photos, and I got a plaque and a check, which was always very nice. And that photo has appeared in many, many books. I've been told that it's at the Football Hall of Fame. I've never seen it, so I'm not really quite sure. So I put my whole career actually around these unusual kinds of photos, creative photos. So it's worked for me. Yeah.